start to learn and evolve and take what you like and, you know, to disregard what you don't like and be able to just move forward, you know. And that's just been the big thing for us. It's just like,
was that a 60-second clip?
Try it.
That's
just
a 60-second. That's a 60
like, try
second.
it, right? Yeah.
You just have to start somewhere. There's a 60-second shot. All right, we're live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is Brett Summers. Today, we're on the Top Line Entrepreneur. It is Tuesday.
My name's Nick.
Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
I'm
It's
Jeff.
Tuesday.
What's going
It's
on,
Tuesday.
everyone?
It's actually Friday. We're shooting this, but you guys are seeing it on Tuesday. Met these gentlemen through social media, like I've been meeting a lot of different people through social media, which is how you're supposed to use it, to be social, which some people don't. So I got a chance to go back and forth with this character a few times, and then his buddy a few times back and forth too. And his name is Nick, and then we got Jeff over here. These guys are entrepreneurs from the good old town of Milwaukee, and they're just starting off. Today we're going to go back and forth with some questions I have for them as new entrepreneurs and get some of their thought process, and I think they'll probably ping me back with a few questions too. So again, this show is just out there to help any entrepreneur out. You may have been in the game for a long time, or you may just be getting into it, but either way, we want to offer as much value as we possibly can. We want to give you it all for free, and we want to do it in a clear and concise way so that we can get 60-second videos out of it too for other social media platforms. So thank you guys for tuning in if you're listening to the podcast or if you're checking it out on YouTube. So let's dive into it, fellas. Give them a little brief background. If they've been watching, hopefully they know who I am. We'll get you guys, and I'll talk a little bit about myself later for your listeners.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, Jeff and I we met in college. We went to UW Milwaukee. We were going for engineering, and we actually started up a clothing line during school. And
tough business to start up, man.
Yeah, it was a lot of learning, that's for sure. And you know, through the process, we learned a lot. We learned what we didn't want to do, which was the clothing side of things. And we really spun that off into a digital marketing agency where we're helping out local businesses acquire clients and employees through digital marketing.
I like it. Now, why did you guys, so here, a couple questions just off of that alone. Why did you guys go with the clothing business? We already touched on it a little bit before we got on here, but why did you guys choose that one?
Definitely. So originally, I just knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Met Jeff in class. He also wanted to be an entrepreneur, and one of my cousins back in high school bought a screen printer, and he was printing class T-shirts for his class, and he actually made a decent amount of money doing that. So once I heard Jeff wanted to start a business, I was like, well, let's not wait till we're out of college. Like, let's jump on it now.
Yeah.
Screen printing seems pretty plausible, so let's jump on that and just print stuff for people around campus and, you know, friends and family.
And you guys were what year in college when you started to get that itch? How did you get the entrepreneurial itch?
I had the entrepreneurial itch since I was like 4 years old.
So you've always had it?
My parents were both entrepreneurs.
What did you sell when you were a kid? You had to sell, did you sell something?
I didn't have to sell really anything. I just saw the grit of like going into it.
Okay.
And I just saw like my parents are a little bit older in the spectrum, so my parents didn't have me till they were like 40. My dad was about 40, my mom was about 35.
Okay.
So they're about
That's still young. Old. That's my game plan.
Right. You know,
so that's not old.
So, but when I was younger, we lived in like a smaller place, and my parents were just like, you know, my dad would go to work at like 4 a.m. My mom would stay back with me, you know, get me ready for school and everything, and then she would go to work at like 11 or 12, but then she would work till like 8 or 9 at night,
right.
You know, and then they would just repeat that process. So I saw like the grit go into it as a kid, and I grew up around that. Like I remember being in my like crib literally as a kid, like listening to them like talk about like the business and like things that are going well, things that they're working on right now, internal, external problems, all that kind of stuff. So I saw like the grit that went into it when I was a kid to like build. But then like later in life, you know, when I got to the ages of like 15, 16, 17, moved into like a nicer place.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where it's like, you know, my family was fortunate. We were never like crazy pressed for money. And I realized that was because like they put in the work in the front end to get that out later in life. Like, so I was able to see that whole process. So it's like, I'm willing, and I met Nick, another human being that's willing to put in a massive amount of work right now in order to, live the life you want to live later and just have impact,
Right.
So that's like what really got me into it. And I think Nick's story is a little bit different, how he kind of discovered it.
Yeah, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, definitely a little bit different.
Not as smooth of a story?
No, actually, it really just came down to my first job. I got a job at a farm. I was picking
What age?
corn. It would have been 16.
16?
Yep. So, getting up really early, picking corn. The farmer was not, he was not the brightest guy, but he was actually kind of crushing it. And just like looking across like how he was living his life compared to some of my friends' parents who were, like engineers, very high level engineers, to where they actually own parts of the company.
Okay.
This farmer was actually making, way more money, and he was not nearly as smart as some of these individuals, and that was just eye-opening to me. And it really just kept me thinking about, why is this guy doing so much better than, these people with these really high degrees? And it really just came down to because he owns the business, and, he was putting in all the work for himself.
And you saw that, and it just kind of was like,
and I was like,
you saw the whole back end, the hard work,
and
that he wasn't a genius, which I think is important for everybody out there. You don't have to be, I forgot we got multiple cameras. I don't even know which one to look at. You don't have to be a genius to be an entrepreneur. To be honest, I'm living proof of that because I'm not a genius. But I understand the system, and I just have to understand the game a little bit, and then you have to be able to show up. You have to commit to showing up. And like you just said, you met another guy who was ready to work and put in the work, and I think that's what you really have to do. And then you learn along the way.
Yeah. Well,
like you guys did with your t-shirt business. So what lessons did you get out of that?
That's exactly what I was going to kind of spin that into a couple different things. Number one, for the t-shirts, I guess, is just like, you just got to start somewhere. Like, you just have to start somewhere. And Nick and I aren't printing t-shirts, nor are we even selling clothing anymore. But the reality is that that was the starting ground into transforming it. Because it's always going to be an evolutionary process. It's not going to be like you just start something and all of a sudden, if you start something and you end up doing that the rest of your life, that's amazing, and potentially you got a little bit lucky. But at the same time, it's like, you got to be willing to try some stuff to start to learn and evolve and take what you like, and to disregard what you don't like, and be able to just move forward, and that's just been the big thing for us. It's just like,
was that a 60-second clip?
Try it.
That's a 60-second. That's a 60-second.
Try it, right? Yeah.
You just have to start somewhere.
There's
a 60-second shot.
You just got to start, and that's like what I was actually going to ask you is like, dude, you started, if I'm not mistaken, you started your gym in 2008.
22.
That was literally like the worst economy that we've seen.
Yeah,
like
true.
Anybody
Absolutely.
that in this room has seen, right? So tell me, what was that like?
I mean, it was the year before that. My family kind of had like a big kind of disruption. One person left, the whole family had a whole nother family. We didn't know, we didn't understand, didn't know about it, so that was kind of hidden. And then that hit, and then the economy hit, and then the bankruptcy and the foreclosure, and you hit and you feel that effect. Now you have two options at that point. You can either bellyache and complain and blame the system and the banks and this, that, and the other, or you can see that other people are still successful, and you live in America, and you can go do something about it. So I was still in college at the time. I was a college athlete. I'm like, let's pull the trigger. Let's do this thing. Let's start a business. I loved it. I mean, I was in the fitness. I would love fitness. I'm like, I think everybody in fitness thinks I'm going to be a personal trainer. So I'm like, let's do it. I'll ball out. I'm 100 an hour, 200. I was like, let's do it. So we took action on me and a few roommates, and we got it off the ground. But yeah, I mean, that was the worst economic period in history. So kind of a bold strategy.
Pretty bold.
No money, like zero. Like, family did not have any money. We just lost our house. We moved into an apartment after 21 years of having a house. So it was a big shift. It was hard. It was tough. But like you said, you have to get started. You have to do something. You can bellyache and complain all you want. But
sit around and say, I'll wait 3 years to start a business, or I can just start making traction right now.
I mean, if you're really an entrepreneur, I feel like, and I could be wrong, I feel like if you're really an entrepreneur, you're going to do it.
You're going to figure it out. Nick always says, too, one of my favorite things, he always says, the only failure is quitting, literally. Which it is, because it's like through and through. It's like,
you either give up or learn.
Exactly.
That's what I think is funny, is like people say, did you fail? It's not really. Failing is when you just quit. If you quit, you failed. But if something didn't go right and you're still alive and you're still rolling, how is that failure? How did you lose?
That's evolution.
That's what it's about. Right? It's like pain. Then you reflect on it. You make progress. It is what it is. So I like that. Do you guys have any other stories from starting your entrepreneurial journey that some things were like one of the biggest problems or setbacks you had,
I will say,
or biggest
like,
mistakes you made?
My mentality, right? So my thought, and this is like was a gap in my thought process.
And how old are you now, if you don't mind me
I
asking?
just turned 26.
Okay, so you're 26, and Nick, you're
25.
So you guys are both, I would consider you're rookies. Like, you know, I consider
Super
myself,
rookie.
Sure,
right?
Super rookie.
100%.
Love it.
But that's the best part.
Absolutely.
Because you could screw up for like 5 more years and you're still straight.
Dude, we sat down with an interview
yeah.
one time with this 14-year-old kid who started in entrepreneurship. I'm like, dude, you can do nothing right for 16 years and be 30.
And still be good.
You know what I mean?
Still be good.
Yeah. So like, but like back to your like question, like my thought process was like, okay, I see entrepreneurs, I see they're successful. I knew you had to put in work to get there, but I obviously underestimated the amount of work.
Did you?
Because, well, I would say, yeah. I know, honestly, I definitely did. Because what I originally thought was like, okay, only so many people take the risk to start a business.
Right.
And so when Nick and I were starting this clothing line, I had this mentality, and I look back at myself and laugh. I'm like, I don't know why I had this mentality, but I'm like, all we need to do is build a brand and make it visible, and it will sell.
Yeah.
That's so funny, Jeff. Like looking back on myself, like that's not how it works. Like just because you build something doesn't mean people are going to buy it, you know?
Right.
And I learned that like seriously the hard way and what Nick and I learned in this clothing business is like the people that did buy from us were our really, really good friends, or the people that Nick had met on a live stream and built like a really deep connection with, you know? So you learn that like just because you have a product or service
dude hustling
doesn't mean that people are just going to buy it.
Right.
You know? Just because you open a gym doesn't mean the whole company or the whole market's coming to you.
Right.
You know, you got to go out and earn.
Right.
You know.
Just because you go on Instagram, you switch that drop down now. It gives you guys the option. What are you know, the people pick entrepreneur.
Yep.
Or public figure is the best one.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when you make that switch, you don't automatically all of a sudden start stacking paper.
Exactly.
So that was one of your big things you underestimated, was just the sheer amount of hard work. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think the biggest gap jumping into it was just sales in general and the sales cycle. You know?
Okay.
That was, you know, I never really knew that it's kind of a science and a process to it, and none of my other positions really positioned me for that. Even doing the clothing line, you know, that it wasn't direct person-to-person sales, but now that we're doing more of a B2B business, you know, you have to get, you know, first it's a process to get in right of the front, in right of the decision maker, and then it's even the process to get that decision maker to, you know, even accept having a meeting with you and giving you their time.
Because you got to sell.
Yeah,
you got to sell to get you got to sell.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to even sell to give yourself the opportunity to sell.
To get in front of the right people too.
Right.
And I think that's like the big thing when you first start off is if you don't understand your numbers, like you guys are doing the clothing business, you guys are probably thinking about selling to the consumer, correct?
Yep.
So you weren't even thinking of the only real way to scale one of those businesses. Yeah, you could do that and people do that, is to start selling big accounts.
Right. Start wholesaling.
You know what I mean? Like you could have been going around and doing each gym. Like for instance, we sell apparel. Let's say someone came in here and said, hey, we'll do all your designs and we'll print you and we'll brand you guys. You just have 3 tiers of pricing. You can either do like a lower, and here's $1,500 or $2,500 or $10,000, whatever it would be, depending on the size of that business. Right. Now you're selling in bulk to that business, creating a brand, be like, we'll do it, come and do it quarterly. So let's say you did that 4 times a year, but let's say you did that with 3,000 gyms across the country.
That's how
because you could scale. It's scalable at that point. But when you're first starting in sales, you're thinking of, I can sell a $3 white T-shirt or $2.50 T-shirt with a print on it for $19.99. I'll make this amount. 100%. When really you should have been like, well, if my margin is this, I could do it in that. And I don't think people understand the sales game, because I didn't at first. Right. But that's where I got it good really quick, and that's why I think I'm still in business, is because I understood the numbers.
For sure.
And I don't think a lot of people respect the numbers.
100%, dude. Could not stress that enough.
You
talk about that
agree?
all the time. I think that's where the engineering background has played out. Like Nick and I are not engineers, nor do I hope we ever are engineers again. But at the same time, it's like having that numbers-based background. It's just like, they don't lie. Like you can make the numbers like, yeah, you can forge them to look what you want, but if you truly understand what's working and what's not on a numerical basis, you're gonna win.
No, let me disagree with you. You are an engineer.
Yeah.
Because you have to reverse engineer your numbers.
Love it.
You have to engineer the whole system of the business, because I always feel like if you can't draw it, you can't build it, right? So you need to be able to draw out the numbers that and targets and metrics that you want to hit, and if you can draw them out, now you'll be able to see how that plays out in reverse.
Beautifully said.
Going backwards.
Beautifully said.
Going backwards.
100%.
So I think that's the big mistake. And I made it initially too, until I understood the sales system. And I'm like, okay, instead of looking at this client here's what the metric is that I have to hit in its entirety to work backwards. My first figure was $100,000. So I made a video the other day on that. It's $83.33 a month. And then you work that back per week, per appointment, per whatever. And then I was like, I only got to make, these 3 appointments work.
That's exactly what we do.
And if you don't do that, then you don't have it. So then you're flying by the seat of your pants. Yep. And I think that's a huge mistake. I've made it, anybody's made it. And every entrepreneur is out there cranking and hustling. You guys might be doing that out there. You guys who are listening, you guys might be out there just taking action. I think that's good. But I think you have to sometimes take a step back and be an engineer. Recalibrate.
I love that.
Recalibrate, because otherwise, what are you doing?
Right.
We did that the other day. We shot that. We're at 15. Britt said, is it good or is it bad? The show so far. You learning anything?
I'm learning.
What did you pick up so far?
Probably people's misconceptions of
entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
What about you, B?
Yeah, I would say the same.
You've learned some of those lessons.
There's times where I thought I was gonna, like you said, like if you have the name,
people are gonna buy from you. Yeah. That's exactly
He's a good story. Blake's sitting in the audience, ladies. We don't have him mic'd up, but guy came in here a year ago and he wanted to do something in the football space, and he wanted to just meet with me, right? Pick my brain.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll do it if I can work with you, because I don't really like just picking the brain. I'd like to be involved in different people, because I know I can't do everything on my own, but it could help what I'm doing. So we started doing it together. Students work with hundreds of athletes.
That's amazing.
Hundreds.
Just help each other, integrate
He's
together.
helped these kids big time. Kids who didn't have dads or this, that, and the other, and that's in not even a full year. Yeah. So that's pretty cool to be able to see that. But I was able to kind of help him fast forward maybe a decade of not understanding the numbers, and then kids are coming in, their parents, and they're stroking big checks for these guys to play rather than shooting for smaller targets. So I think that's important, just kind of go back to that always and just make sure people have their numbers right. It's entrepreneurship. If you don't get that,
what else are you basing it on? It's the groundwork.
Well, you got to know what you're doing and if it's working or not. Otherwise, if you don't have those numbers in place, there's no check. You can't say what I was doing last month was working better than the month before.
Yeah, and that's where. So Gary Vaynerchuk, you guys know him. I think everybody should have a love-hate relationship with Gary, because he'll put out stuff that's one thing, and then he'll put stuff out that's the complete opposite. It's not all about the money, and it's not all about this and that. That's just putting people out of business. But then he'll say, everyone should make $100,000 because you can go sling garbage on the internet. You know what I mean? In arbitrage. It's kind of like one of those things. But then he'll say on the weekends, everybody should be working if you're living for the weekend. Yeah. So it's this big contradiction. So I feel like there's a whole generation of entrepreneurs now that are younger, like you guys, kind of in that, and then you hear some of that stuff, you almost don't know which way to go.
Right.
Don't care what people think.
Right.
If you've ever read his book, he'll say, I don't care what anyone says. I don't give a, I don't care about it. And then the next sentence immediately after that is, I genuinely care about what everyone says about me.
Right. I think it's more so he doesn't care about what everybody thinks, because he's not going to let their opinions dictate what his decision is.
But he does care.
But he does care because he's reverse engineered their thoughts to create new content. He always says that I make my content based on the comment section of my previous content.
But he always says don't get caught up in the numbers, and I think that's trash, because
I agree with you too.
Yeah, I think that polar mindset works in a lot of ways. It's care about money because that's what keeps the lights on, but then don't care about money because you just want to be providing value to people. So it's you got to worry about both. You know?
And he said some things that I understand, where you kind of got to have that, 49% I'm taking, 51% I'm giving. So he's always giving more than he takes. I get that, but I think at the end of the day, you got to have your numbers right. It can't be the Boys and Girls Club all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what we told the athletes. We'd have big huddles and be like, guys, if you're out here and you haven't paid, we're shipping you out. This ain't the Boys and Girls Club. This stuff costs money.
For sure.
And while you want to help people, you can't help people if you're broke.
No, yeah, I agree. You got to help yourself first.
I mean, you can, but it's hard. Don't you? Wouldn't you agree?
Sure.
I would agree.
Wouldn't you agree?
I would say,
when you're worried about money, it's really hard to be like, well, let me help you. And that's where young entrepreneurs, it's tough for us, is because when I started, I didn't have any money, but I'm going to help people. And that was really hard.
Yeah.
That was really hard.
I agree with that too.
But it's also a plus, because you got nothing to lose.
100%,
so I can go serve everybody and give them everything I got, and then hopefully that just sticks with you once you do get there.
Don't have anything but time.
Yeah.
At the beginning.
Yeah. Let me help you out.
Yeah.
So what questions would you guys have for me? And let's just put it for the listeners that are going to be listening to on your end.
Yeah.
My name is Brett Summers. I'm a strength and conditioning coach from right here in Milwaukee. Born in Menominee Falls, grown up here. Started this business from nothing. This is my 11th year, so we're starting that off now. Starting to scale out, add team. We got people here. We're trying to do stuff in the media stuff and trying to scale it, grow, open more locations, and then venture into other different fields that we see as being a little bit more lucrative than the situation we've been in. So my job is always to get out and meet new people and put us in a position to where everybody can thrive, and then have these guys, she might be shooting videos, but hopefully she's delegating that to somebody else, and we're growing and expanding.
Absolutely.
So our thought, I always tell them, I wish I was writing bigger. I want to write you guys bigger checks. I want to add more people to the staff, and I think we will. My job is to create the opportunity, like in the real estate situation, and then create those opportunities, then say, hey, you guys own a digital media agency. What are you guys really doing? Like, is it blowing up, or do you guys want to come partner up? Right. And we do a bunch of stuff together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I always leave the door open for everybody. You know, I like people who want to do it on their own, but eventually,
you got to have
don't
a team
you?
regardless.
You're either going to have to build
Absolutely.
your own team, or you can just build one massive team and scale out. But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Facebook started with just one person, right?
Right.
How many people were in there at the ground? Who's the guy who was with Napster and got paid off of that? Do you guys even know what Napster is?
Napster,
I don't know that well though.
Justin Timberlake played him in the Zuckerberg movie. Did you guys ever see Facebook, the movie?
I don't know if that's watched.
You guys didn't watch the Facebook movie?
How pathetic
You guys
is that?
want to be
I-
entrepreneurs?
Us four have never seen it.
Did you guys watch the Steve Jobs movies?
Nope.
The Justin Bieber movie?
Yes.
Nope.
Do you watch it? What was that one called? Justin Bieber movie. It was like, those are like the best movies of entrepreneurship of all time. Justin, you didn't watch the Justin Bieber? Justin Bieber,
huh?
dude, you want to talk about hustle?
The Beebs.
They have videos of him sitting outside the coffee shops just banging.
Yeah.
Same with
wild.
Ed Sheeran. Ed Sheeran used to do that too in the middle of the street. That's hustle.
That's how you-
That's what
yeah.
entrepreneurship is. You guys got to watch that. What are you guys doing?
Yeah, I mean,
I know you shouldn't
not
have time to watch,
watching movies, not
but you're
watching
not watching.
movies.
That's working. That's working when you watch that, because you're
Yeah.
going to learn things off of those movies. But even Facebook, it started with several people. That's why they all picked up so much dough.
For sure.
You got to have a bunch of people. They didn't write all the code. 20? Cool. So what? Any questions you guys would have for me?
Yeah.
Because I know you wanted to grab coffee. I didn't know if there were some specifics you had in mind, or.
I just wanted to pick your brain a little bit. I mean, you know, initially you sparked my interest because you're really one of the only businesses around here that actually has an in-house content team and, you know, values organic content.
Yep.
So you sparked my interest in that, and, you know, I really just wanted to pick your brain on how that's played out in your business. And, you know.
It's math. It's so important. It's just one of those things. I hired them before I would hire other positions because I think it's just so important. We see it. If we're not doing what we need to do, because now the second that you disappear even for a day, the engagement of your clients and your customers, especially in this business, because they need that daily motivation.
For sure.
Or that, because sometimes they don't want to go to the gym.
Right.
Not everybody wants to go to the gym every day. And if you don't put, like, how many people have come in here and they go, oh, I saw your video. And I'll have guys come in like when it's about to close and be like, I saw your video today where you're calling, because I'll just call people out.
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys, you know, rookies and scrubs and taking days off. And I just put it out there because that's how I feel, especially with these people. They know, like, in our business culture is like when you walk through the doors, I make fun of you. You know what I mean?
sure, yeah.
But I don't make fun of you because I'm against you. I make fun of you because I'm with you. So it's like you know, it's kind of a weird, I don't know why people even come take the abuse. But it's because I'm with them. Like, if they don't come in for a while, I hit them. You know,
Yeah.
I hit them hard. And I hope somebody would do that to me if all of a sudden I'm talking all big like I'm going to do something and I don't do it, which
Yeah.
a lot of people do. Somebody should call you out on it.
Big part of your business is
You know,
accountability for sure.
I usually call myself out so hard. I'm like, if I do something wrong, I'll be like, I can't believe I did it or didn't do it. And I won't let myself off the hook. So it's my job to do that with other people. But if we don't put the videos and these things out, which are easy, especially like you said, if we batch it, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
And if you batch it and you do it right, a bunch of other stuff can come off of that. B-roll it, 60-second it, you know, do some quote, whatever it is, what it is. But it's so important, and I don't understand why other businesses don't do it. And then they have this stale, and then when they do it, it's stale.
Stale. I think that's a dangerous, like, I think content is like either you're all in or you're all out, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because it's like, realistically, either you're going to commit to it and you're going to show up every day and you're going to provide value every day and it's going to be known and it's going to be consistent. Or to your point, you know, a lot of the other, I'll even reference fitness businesses around here, put out the same kind of pictures day in and day out, and it's stale, and it's the same thing. It's not this, they're not varying anything. So it's like, at that rate, you might as well just spend your time doing something else if you're just going to put out that stale stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, you're going to go all in, then go all in.
And here's the big thing, and you guys are in the digital agency, and this is for a lot of you guys out there too. A lot of entrepreneurs, they think that by putting out one video, they should be able to see an ROI on the video and the time that they put into it. And they go, well, what's my ROI? Branding's the ROI. Being in front of people is the ROI. Having somebody see what you're doing. Like when I first started doing these just a few weeks ago, or even like I was putting videos out when how old are you? When were you born?
1983.
Okay, and you were
94.
94?
Yep.
And you were born in
93.
Dang. So like in 2007 and 8, I was shooting videos.
Yeah. So I was like, what, 14?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Before it was cool, but if nobody sees what you're doing, it doesn't matter.
Right.
So when I put these things out, people would come and say, oh, I saw your video. You'd be surprised. I bet you guys have had it where somebody goes, hey, I saw your video.
Do it all the time.
You know what I mean? And it may not be a million people, but if the right person sees it,
right,
who cares? And I think that's where the business is. You guys have the problem out there is you guys are thinking that every time you put something out or take the time to do something, that it should automatically generate 20 grand.
Oh, dude, it's so funny. Is people are so focused on putting out like this exact perfect content, this perfect piece of content. It needs to be so well laid out. If I said even like microly the wrong little thing, we're not putting it out there. It's like the game is quantity.
Yeah, like
the internet is so saturated. It's like however much quantity you can put out with as high quality as possible.
Boom, like right now, hey everybody, hey, I'm shooting a video up here with Nick Urso.
Yeah, we're talking
Jeff,
quantity versus quality.
Quantity versus quality. It's good stuff. We got Britster in the building. We got Blake in the background. We got about 18 cameras set up. Hey, it's Friday. What are you guys doing? Drop a comment. Let me know. Best answer wins what? 20, 30, $100?
20 grand.
20 grand. I don't know about that. He might be footing the bill on that. Hey, drop us a comment. Boom, there's a video.
Just like that.
And it's out.
And it's out. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. You keep up microly on the story and then you put out as much.
What's my ROI on that?
No, who cares?
That's the dumb.
Branding, right?
That's stupid. That's stupid. That's why, Blake, you putting out videos and I'm like, remember what I said the other day? I'm like, do you put any videos? And you're like, oh, not since, what was it? It was Tuesday and you said not since the other day?
Yeah, it was like two days.
I'm like, dude, you should be hitting that thing.
Yeah, that's the game.
Pillaging that account.
Story.
It's the long-term play too, though.
So do you guys run into that?
What's that?
When you're trying to sell your deal to someone?
My thing is, if I don't put out content, how am I going to go and sell digital strategy to somebody?
Yeah. Do you guys sell digital strategy to people? How much does it cost?
For what we do, like our main focus is like paid advertising. So that's like.
Well, you do the back end stuff.
So Facebook's big on we're big on Facebook, a little bit of Instagram, but like it's all pay to play now.
Do you shoot the video?
We do. We have shot like a lot of the videos. Otherwise, we have creators that shoot for us too.
Do you understand their sales model to where the stuff you put out there could actually evoke a reaction or a click funnel or something?
That's the thing. Our thing is, I always tell Nick, I'm in marketing because it's the closest title there is to business grower. If there was a business grower title, I would be that. But marketing is the closest second. So for me, if I'm working with a client and we're running paid ads, if they're not getting return month over month for like more than what they're paying us, we're not winning.
Yeah. So what's your pitch? Pitch me real quick. It only takes you what, 60 seconds?
60 seconds.
60-second pitch. Let's hear it.
All right, Brett. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna come into your gym, and we're going to create a full-on paid digital advertising strategy for your business. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what your consumer needs. Consumers in the fitness space probably need a couple things. They probably need accountability, they probably need some coaching, they probably need exercise, and they probably want to know what to eat so they can get the right results, right?
Right.
So what we're going to do is we're going to create a 6-week challenge for you. These people are going to see the 6-week challenge on their Facebook feed. It's going to give them everything that they need, accountability, nutrition, and coaching, and we're going to charge I don't know what your gym membership is. I don't really care right now. But what we're going to do is we're going to charge $400 for that 6 weeks. So they're going to get in 6 weeks. They're going to get accountability, nutrition, and coaching. And we're going to run that as a Facebook ad. You're going to pay us out X amount of dollars a month. But I guarantee that if you follow up with the leads consistency, you're a business owner, you know how to follow up with people, that you will make more money month over month than you pay us out for marketing. You'll get people in here at 6-week challenges at $400. And your membership is probably quite a bit less than that for a monthly membership. So just because they paid the $400, they automatically have enough money to probably continue paying the membership with you long term.
How much does it cost?
For our services?
Yeah.
So we usually do $1,500 plus ad spend, right? So $1,500 plus ad spend. So realistically, we usually say
$1,500 a month plus ad spend.
Plus ad spend. So it'd be $500. We usually say between $500 and $1,000 in ad spend. But realistically, so say you did spend $1,000 in ad spend, your investment's $2,500. You close 6 clients at $400, you've literally got 6 free clients in your door.
Not a bad pitch. Not a bad pitch. Kind of reminds me of what David was doing a little bit.
Yeah.
Except you did it in 60 seconds, and he was in there
For
for a while. I like David too, but I think he was just getting started.
He was, yeah, David was, for
So
sure.
respect, because he's just getting rolling.
Absolutely.
I like that. So that's what you guys do. But I would just clarify in there, like, are you shooting the videos? Are you creating the storyline of the video?
Absolutely.
Are you shooting an interview
And that
with
was
the
one
person?
of our big value propositions when we first started too. Is like, we're local, so we can have these touch points, and we like. I don't like running stock footage, and as you guys know, create custom content for the business. So.
And you guys do 30. Dang, we're at 30. See, you guys called it. We'd go along. I like it. There's some good stuff in here. Britt's pissed because it's going to take forever to export.
She's like, hurry up, dude.
Yeah.
I feel that.
But I think that you guys got to think about the next play out of the fitness space.
Yeah, I think
Because it will make you have to solve a bigger problem.
definitely.
And when you have to solve a bigger problem, you'll come up with new solutions, and you'll expand what you've already done, and that will even make the fitness thing better if you're still doing it.
For sure.
But imagine if you close a deal for $200,000.
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
that's the move.
You look at,
Yeah.
I said, he was like, oh,
Well,
yeah.
that's the thing.
goal.
You know, but you close a deal for 200. Not that there's wrong where you started, but I think you should be thinking about that.
For sure.
You guys think about that ever? Like,
Absolutely.
and then even that small. Like, what if I closed $1 million deal?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's one of those things like, do you
Gotta have a
want
team.
How would that be? Yeah, and then because then you'd be like, dang, we should have had a team,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
And then who do you have on your team that's actually capable of executing at that level?
Right.
Because you don't want a bunch of rookies running around the shop.
Exactly.
So that's
Well,
where
now
I'm
you-
thinking that the whole like, you know, you guys are doing it, we're doing it. Like David, like that's what I kept. I'm like, you know, why are you doing it? Why do people want? Do you guys want to do it just by yourselves?
No,
Love
I
that
don't.
team. Yeah.
You know, or what if somebody else set the camera up for you today?
That's the move. It's just like you grow out enough and you start buying back your time, and it's like you find people to buy back. Like she's probably a better creator than you are. No offense.
She is
no,
now.
but that's
She
why-
is
that's
now.
why
Yeah,
she's
she
here,
is-
right?
she is better.
And it's to buy back your time. Maybe
Right.
you're the same level of creator, but you're still buying back.
But I
your
think
time.
the important thing for you guys out there is to realize this. They did it. They set their cameras up. They learned what the A7 is. And
That's
we
true.
go, me and him
That's
are going
true.
back and forth on Instagram one time
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
mirrorless and,
Right.
and the Lumix and all that. And I knew how to edit. So when Britt came in, she didn't know what was going on at Adobe.
That's awesome.
She didn't know how to cut and then drop audio.
That's
and
super
so I would
interesting.
take her and I'd show her and be like, "Here's," but I learned it.
So you
Now,
can-
do I want to learn that? Is that like is that my gift?
No, but the fact that you did it,
But I did it. Now I can communicate with her.
Absolutely.
So now I
That's-
understand the game
that's
because
so
I made it.
That's pivotal, dude.
I remember walking this exact table out here to shoot videos
Yeah.
last year
Yeah,
by myself. No one's here.
for sure.
That was just last year.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's how I look at ourselves too. Is like you got to walk the walk.
Yeah.
Talk the talk.
But then
eventually.
get around people who will say, "How are you thinking bigger?"
Yeah.
And because I was always doing things alone, nobody was ever around me to ask me that.
Yeah.
So
Respect
that's the
that.
thing, is always getting the lady I'm with this morning, we were talking, her mortgage on that deal that we were at was $200,000 a month. That's kind of a big deal. Those are the kind of people you want to be around, right?
Yeah.
So while you guys are trying to pick my brain, 2 hours ago I'm picking someone else's brain. You know what I mean?
sure,
And I
yeah.
think those are the kind of people you want to be around because they're humble enough to say, I might be able to help you guys a little bit, but just remember that I'm getting information from the next person
Right.
over. So I'm with you guys. I'm still learning. I may be a few years ahead. You're like, I'm trying to do it like you. Nah, we're all doing it. You guys are doing it. What you guys are doing, I can see your stuff. That's why I comment on it, because I like it, and that's what people should do. But a lot of people are so weird on social media.
Right, for sure.
You ever comment on somebody's thing? They have no likes. They got like 16 likes. They got no comments, and you comment like an engage, like you ask them a question, and all they do is click the heart button.
I know.
They don't even respond.
Dude, I talk about that a lot. It's like
I'm
social
like,
media is the phone book. The phone book. Think about a phone book.
You can meet people.
Right? If you have a phone book in front of you, you can thumb through pages all you want. But unless you pick up the phone and call somebody and start a relationship, it means nothing. That's what social media is.
Right.
35, Britt's getting pissed. So it's just, I think that's an important thing. And I think this is a big thing for all you guys out there. All you want to be entrepreneurs, I think that's good that you want to do it. Just remember, if you're starting a business, eventually you're going to have to get in front of people. You're going to have to talk to people. You're going to have to communicate with people. You're going to have to do what I did this morning. I went and I leased an apartment this morning. I've never done it.
Yeah.
I sent a text. I was like, can I come lease a space today? And I took somebody through. I walked them, and I had them pull out cash to lease an apartment. That wasn't my apartment, and I'm not on the payroll.
Right.
I just asked them to do it, and then that led to another opportunity.
Right.
So who does that? But I had to get in front of people, and I had to be confident to do that. And I think you need to meet people. I think people need to use social media to talk to people and build relationships. And she was selling some stuff on the internet yesterday, and people were asking questions. I was like, FaceTime them, walk them through, sell everything in here.
Right.
And she just looked at me and laughed. I'm like, just because then you meet someone.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just changing the sales avenue.
It changes the dynamic of the relationship a little bit. That's why I like meeting you guys too. And who knows what we could do in the future. I always basically end any time with somebody like, who knows, we could do something.
Absolutely. Love it.
Appreciate
you having us.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys being on here. Anything else you guys want to add to your listeners, our listeners? Any encouraging words out there to these guys and gals?
Stay consistent.
And gals.
Just start, keep learning, get in place, get in touch with people who have already done the things that you want to do, and just reach out. It's always going to be a no until you ask. So
avoid that.
Reach out to Brett. We're talking today,
He wanted to get coffee. I'm like, let's shoot a podcast.
Even better.
Win-win. It goes a little bit long, but I think everybody out there, you got to have a couple of things. You got to have the humility, and you got to have the confidence, which is weird, right? You got to be confident enough to go out there and talk to people and meet people and start things and do things, but you have to have the humility, even when you've been doing it for 11 years. Nobody cares about that.
Right.
Like, it sounds cool, but who cares about 11 years if I don't do something today, tomorrow? It's Friday, right? It's Tuesday for you guys that are seeing this, but technically it's Friday, and we're shooting all these today. We're going to shoot for 3 or 4 hours. We're going to get it all done. Now we could be chilling right now.
Yeah.
But that's not the play. That's not the play. What is it? All money in, no money out. It's the Nipsey Hussle slogan of the day. Get out there, be humble, but also have the confidence to go out there. And if you don't always know what you're doing, at least the space, I didn't know what I'm doing.
Leave your ego at the door, right?
It is what it is. Just got to go out there and do stuff. Anything from you? Jeff's closing words. We got to get it.
Oh man,
close them out.
Words, man. I think just like be consistent, no matter what you're doing. Like to the next point, you got to start. But unless you're willing to put in the time every day, and like, I guess one thing that we didn't really touch on, but like focus on your schedule. Like, look at what you're doing every day. Like, being busy is not being productive. Engineering school taught us to be busy, but like, just because you're busy doesn't mean you're moving your bottom line. So like, make sure you're busy in the right sections and just keep making those relationships, and it's going to play out for you.
I like that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here on the Top Line Entrepreneur. What is your guys' show?
Positive Input Podcast.
The Positive Input Podcast. Make sure you guys follow it. Are you guys on Stitcher, Google?
Pretty much everywhere.
Anchor.
Yeah.
You guys can follow it anywhere. Make sure you subscribe, comment. Can you comment on that online?
I'm not sure you can
rate it. Can you rate it?
Give us a rating. Yeah.
Give a rating. It doesn't matter. Even if they don't like it. The rating still helps that somebody's watching it.
Yeah, right.
So if you hate it, if you love it, it doesn't matter to us as long as you guys like and subscribe and listen to the show. We're glad that you guys could join us. If you guys have any questions, hit us up. These guys are great guys. They're right in Milwaukee. So if you're an entrepreneur around here and you're starting a business, or you have an existing business and you want to generate some leads, whether that is a gym or maybe a hair salon or something like that, because it's kind of similar, right?
Absolutely.
These guys can help you out quite a bit. Maybe you'll see them in the Top Shop in the future. We shall see. Definitely. Thank you guys. Have a good one.